What are some of the relationship red flags you ignored early on? I should have realized, when she had a negative comment to make about nearly everything, that she would eventually be unsatisfied with everything I did. I knew a gal like this. She also took a stack of pills every morning and told me they were for anxiety. I looked them up online. The one thing all three had in common was for treatment of manic bipolar disorder. The way she flirted with me when she had a boyfriend. Whatever they'll do for you, they'll do to you. Honestly, this seems so simple, but there is one selling point in my opinion. They didn't show any interest in what was important to me. I was raised to believe that if something was important to my significant other, then it was important to me. If they enjoyed ballet dancing, chick flicks, country music, insert activity I have no interest in, I would do my best to support them and find interest in it. It just shows their willingness to be supportive and to try and look at the world through my eyes. It shows they want to share something with me, even if it isn't their first choice. It shows, above all else, that they can be selfless. Luckily my music and writing are such a big part of my life that if my significant other doesn't show interest in either, I immediately know to move on. This is what ruined my relationship. I learned the hard way that narcissism can display itself in many ways. She never gave me any compliments or thanked me for anything. Unpredictable and aggressive criticism for minor mistakes. X. Rinsing pasta after boiling it. 1. She was still living with her ex-boyfriend, and I ignored that, cementing myself in my mind as the blindest, dumbest man of all time. Always texting when we were together. That never goes away. Texting when out to dinner is the most infuriating thing that I routinely have to put up with. If I'm not interesting enough, then GTFO and don't eat the meal I'm paying for. My first serious college GF accused me of flirting with a high school friend of mine, another girl, BC of some Facebook posts we exchanged. She claimed that I was trying to start relationships with every girl I know from high school and just got lucky with my GF. When I asked her about it, she claimed that she had just stumbled upon it randomly, which would be feasible, but when I went onto the site to see how that could have happened, she would have had to go back 6 months into my comment history to find it, a time when we weren't even dating yet. She turned out to be insanely insecure. 1. He liked to pinch me. Later that turned into a playful pushing and a little bit of gentle slapping. I dumped him after he jokingly cornered me in his basement and shot hockey pucks at me. OMG, so funny. 2. He texted me at least 3 times a day with what you're doing. Turns out he was incredibly controlling and jealous. Her stupidity is cute at the beginning, but after a few years it finally gets you to a point of a breakdown. It is quite adorable at first. She's cute. She says silly little things that make you laugh, even if it's at her. After a while it becomes infuriating. Someday, you will snap. One girl I liked because she had the whole independent woman vibe. Unfortunately her independence meant she always took priority over everything, no matter what. Independence was just a mask for her selfishness. She wanted to go out drinking with her friends on Thursday. Fine. Go enjoy yourself, honey. She can't see me because she wants to visit home on the weekends. That's cool. You're living your own life and I don't want to impede on that. Family is important. You're cancelling our date for the 3rd time this week because you rather attend other things with your friends. That's fine. I don't want you to stop hanging out with your friends. You want to visit your childhood guy friend for the weekend, who I always thought you were a little too close to, who lives about 2 hours away. Okay. The weekend I wanted to spend together. You know, the one where I cancelled a trip home for my mom's birthday. The one before you were leaving to Europe for 4 months. For once I thought you were going to do something for me. You come up with the worst excuse to cancel. I have to go shopping with my mom. The minute I complain about it, and now that I think about it, it was the only time I complained about anything. You get angry, say spiteful mean things, and to top it all off dump me days before your study abroad trip to Europe, which I helped you apply for and supported you in every step of the way, both financially and emotionally. I conceded and gave up so many things for this independent woman, and now that I reflect back on it, it was the worst relationship of my life. Now whenever a woman flaunts about how independent she is, I turn the other cheek and look for someone that actually has some love to give. That's not what turn the other cheek means. He was arrogant and treated other people like dirt unless they had something to offer him. He treated me like a queen until he found my replacement. Narcissism sucks. My ex was a Holocaust denier. Heck, that's a red flag if I ever saw one. She got way too drunk each and every time we went out. I learned that is a flag for a lot of issues. Habitually lying to other people equals habitually lying to me. He that will steal an egg will steal an ox. I thought the fact that she was so close to her dad was kind of nice and a really positive aspect of her personality. As the relationship progressed, I realized that what she was looking for in a sir was someone who she could turn into her own version of dad. An immediate need to establish themselves as being in your future, forever. When we build your house, you know, the one you've been saving up money for some years now, we should have 4 bedrooms so we can have 2 kids. And maybe you should build a bed and breakfast so I can run it. This came 3 weeks into the relationship. Way too close with his best friend. Regularly ignored me to spend time with him. For example, we once went to a restaurant with a group of friends. He got a table that could see 2 people with the friend and left me to sit with the others. This pattern continued for a while. You can probably figure out what eventually happened. She didn't give fellatio, but loved getting it. As juvenile and chauvinistic as it sounds, it was a solid indicator of the effort she was willing to give me in relation to the effort she expected from me. Completely agree with this one. If a guy isn't eager and excited to go down on me, then he isn't bringing the same level of awesome freaking to the table. He doesn't have to be good, mind you. That can be taught. Intention is more important. 1. A lack of manners and consideration toward individuals in service jobs. Waiters, bank tellers, the person in the drive up. 2. Does not want to spend time with your friends and family, which often coincides with you never being introduced to their friends and family. 3. She is extremely interested in your material possessions. The model of car you drive is very important. 4. Wants to hang out, but never wants to do anything physical. 5. Only seems to want to come over for physical play, never wants to actually hang out. 6. Angry when discussing anything in their past. Additionally, they are angry when discussing anything they don't particularly like or agree with. 7. A complete lack of stability in their life in general. Cannot hold a job, finish a project. 8. Try to keep you from doing things you love. I wish you'd spend less time doing martial arts and more time hanging out with me. 9. They are never punctual and are terrible about returning calls. 10. They are interested in changing your belief system set of values to something they would like. I've learned quite a bit over the years. She said the victims of 9/11 deserved what they got. Yeah, seriously. I should have learned right then that she was just a self-centered bee that said outrageous things to attract attention. I wasted 2 years of my life with her instead. Awesome. I dismissed that he treated his mom like crap, even though she did literally everything for him, down to registering him for his college courses because he wouldn't do it himself. Come to find, it's true that men treat women they're intimate with similarly to the way they treat their moms. He also flat out refused most of the time to hang out with my friends and was always saying his friends were better, but always wanted me to hang out with his friends, to a point where it felt like he and I never had time to ourselves. In spite of those things, we dated for almost 2 years, though if I were given the opportunity to do it over, I wouldn't have any part of it. I think you were smart to get away. Much better to date grown-ups. She was extremely moody. Like one minute she would tear someone apart, then the next she would help pay for the surgery of someone's dying grandparent. On some days she would be such a self-praising jackass that I could hardly stand it. She also rarely strayed from topics that took hold in her mind. Any thought which went against it was immediately thrown out. Regardless, I was visiting her every day basically, sometimes multiple times. Still much better than Dig though. I think we are dating the same girl. He complained about everything I did. If it wasn't his way, it was wrong. Had nothing good to say about any female he knew. Wants everything to be about him but not about me. Controlling with everything from bedtimes to money. Prude, jealous over everything but can have lovers and friends. Easily angered over trifles. Refuses to spend time with me but wants my every waking moments to be with him. Mismatch in libidos. Feeling like your relationship is a friendship is cool and all, but the physical components need to be there too? This is a huge red flag. It's a nightmare to feel like you're begging your soul for physical intimacy. In high school, the more I browse 4chan, the more I understand about you. The oh so attentive I will take care of you behavior that turned into him being total control freak, and that I never got to talk to anyone, including family, or look at anyone, especially waiters or anyone who might attempt to pay any kind of attention. I would actually deny knowing people who I hadn't seen in a while to attempt to not have a fight, or even have a job, no money to leave with. Finally left with $40 to my name or what clothes I could fit in my car. Never ever looked back. Also married, and divorced a bipolar man. Never ever trust a man who says the only thing they can't resist is temptation. They weren't lying. My then boyfriend had a habit of commenting on how his life has no meaning. He spoke of suicide a few times, but I would always change the subjects and thought that as long as he knew I loved him, he would get over it. In hindsight, I was naive about two things. 1. I could change a man, and 2. That love is enough stop someone from committing suicide. He never did. When I finally got the courage to break up with him despite the constant fear that he was going to off himself one day. I had a girlfriend that hated Chris Farley and thought Tommy Boy was an abortion of the cinema. Should have known right there. Oh, and on a lesser note, she burned her parents' house down. Serious depression, hinting that they'd commit suicide if I left them. Terribly impulsive behavior. Run for the hills. This is the relationship that taught me never to stick my dong in crazy. I dated a man that was this way. The breakup was terrifying. I dated this guy who could never let me be right about anything, even if he agreed on the topic. He'd always play devil's advocate to get me to think other things. Poor grammar, bad dating history, and clinginess. I'm guilty of this sometimes, I'll admit. I bet men Redditors are. I do it occasionally because it annoys the heck out of me to hear someone espouse a strong opinion when I think they only hold that opinion because everyone else does, or they haven't thought through that opinion very clearly. I tend to do it even if I agree with them. I guess it's a bad habit. I now consider it a red flag when I date a girl who mostly has guy friends. This means maybe the random girl, but for the most part all guys. Usually they end up being very insecure and love male attention a little too much. It also sucks because in the end, at least half of their friends are secretly in love with them and end up hating me as a result. No fun. I am a female who has always been skeptical of the girl who yells from the rooftops how she's one of the guys or hates girls cause girls are all drama. It's them. They have issues. Not always, but a good amount of the time. She always had to include my ethnicity whenever referencing me. Literally any time she said boyfriend it was preceded by Asian. I'm not even a real Asian. He didn't like my sister or my mum. Or my brother, come to think of it. And let me know about it all the time. But if I even mentioned anything remotely annoying about his family, it was like I slapped him across the face. He resented me because my family had more money than his. What am I supposed to do? Apologize for the fact my dad worked his ass off for 30 years on oil rigs? Oh, and he never, ever trusted me because his first girlfriend cheated on him. I thought maybe I could be the one to regain his trust. To help him realize no, not all girls are cheating skanks. Nope, he just cheated on me instead. Should have realized when all he talked about was football and Halo that we would have nothing in common. In my defense, it was high school and my self-esteem was so low I didn't think anyone else would want me. Turns out he was in butthole. Big surprise. I finally grew a backbone when he made a fat joke about my best friend at my 16th birthday party and she ended up crying. Friends before stupid relationships, always. She never asked a single question about me on our first few dates, just kept going on about herself. You can imagine how that worked out. Had this happen again recently, and decided not to call that girl after the second date. Lesson equals learned. When in high school, we had these practice partner AP tests. My girlfriend and I were always partners. I realized now that she wasn't very intelligent and she only played the part. Every time we had a disagreement on a certain question, my opinion was always the one that was thrown out and hers was used instead. This always bothered me and I should have brought more attention to it, especially since we were getting most of them wrong. But hey, she was willing to kiss me and that was worth the C's and B's instead of the A's at the time. I wished I had broken up with her then instead of doing it a year later and wasting my whole first year of college on a dying relationship. Also, she had smelly armpits. TL. DR. Girl with smelly armpits made me second guess myself. The bulge in her pants. Hi, I am normal and I carry a backpack full of green flags around with me. This is a red flag. Jealousy. She had many guy friends, was not thrilled about me having any lady friends. Before I started dating my GF, she cheated on her then current boyfriend with me. Guess what? She cheated on me multiple times. Definitely should have seen that one coming. She also cheated on me with said former boyfriend. Seriously, WTF was I thinking? I saw red flags in every relationship, but again, no one is perfect. I was choosing the faults I could live with and try to fix my own. As long my partner understands that it's all about making each other happy, I'm cool. The things I couldn't live with is lies, fights and ignorance. There is no reason to lie, unless you're doing something really bad. Any argument could be fixed if you listen to each other and sometimes you do have to give something up for the sake of the person you care about. 1. Double standards about everything. 2. Unwillingness to try new things. 3. Has to plan for every second of the day. 4. Too much emotional reliance, not emotionally independent. 5. Judges people because of superficial imperfections. 6. Lacks true depth intelligence. 7. Only watches reality television. 8. Can't appreciate well-written entertainment. Is too confusing. 9. Uninterested in anything that doesn't affect them directly. 10. Facebook stalks too much. 11. Worries constantly. 12. Obsessed with fairy tale endings, beginnings and realistic expectations. Do I need to say more? Honestly, I'm getting to the point where if red flags show up early on, it's not a relationship worth pursuing. He said I love you on the second date. I was already sure it can't go anywhere. Even more blatantly, when I dropped him off after our first date, he asked for a goodnight kiss. If it was coming, you'd know, buddy. B. He took my I don't really kiss on first dates for she needs more convincing. C. Tried persuasion. D. Eventually suggested a rock paper scissors compromise. Yeah, he said he didn't like ending dates without a kiss. That should have been a sign. I see it all the time and have experienced it, and it's mostly guys who do this to their girls for some reason. But when a guy gets annoyed at practically everything the girl does, and yells at them for saying something stupid multiple times a night, and just plain doesn't seem interested at all in the girl, that's when you know a relationship is going sour. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.